When people think of the word estate, they think of, these billionaires that are out there that have these lavishing large estates. Everyone has an estate. Someone's estate might be worth $5. Someone's estate might be worth $500 million or $5 billion, right?
Yeah.
But everyone should have some form of estate plan. For realtors to start networking with good financial advisors can really help them build their business. And the biggest challenge for young investors is they don't start investing money when they're young.
So here we are, Rate of Success podcast. So today is extra special. Very few times do I get to interview a great guest, but even today is even more important. It's my very good friend, the one and only Chris Deacy. We have known each other. I've known his family for years. We probably know way too much about each other to be talking about anything that we did growing up, but we're going to go at it here. And so Chris is a financial advisor. He's my personal financial advisor. And something that I talk to a lot about with clients is, saving for retirement, talking about retirement. And everybody lives in the moment now, and not thinking about the future. So I wanted to have Chris on to help us understand retirement, get to know his career, how he got to where he is, and just give everyone a better understanding of how to better prepare for retirement. So Chris, why don't you tell me a little bit about where you're at now, how long you've been in the business, and a little bit how you got into the finance industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on the podcast today.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of a background on myself and our firm. My firm is CMD Wealth Partners. Okay, we're an independent financial practice. It's myself and 2 team members. Been in the industry, I guess I'm showing my age now,
Yes.
Be 24 years this coming January.
Wow, I had no idea it was that long.
Yeah, so coming up, I guess, on a quarter century. So, as they all say, time flies. So here we are, almost 24 years later.
So we always joke about in our industry, and I don't know how it is in yours, but when you grow up, nobody says, hey, I want to be a realtor or I want to be a lender. Nobody, we always kind of stumble into the industry. And our path here is always very different and very unique. What was your path here, and how did you end up deciding on kind of, because you were independent or you were wholesaling, and maybe talk about that a little bit, but What was your steps of getting into the business?
Obviously, you know me, my family very well. My older brother, Kevin, was in finance.
Yeah.
So he's 4 years older than I am. He had been in the business for 4 years when I had graduated college, took a lot of econ courses, and, that was my first jump into finance was getting a job right out of college, and I worked for a large mutual fund company. And that really was the springboard to my whole career. So worked for Deutsche Bank or Deutsche Asset Management, and I started there in the call center back in the day when we had the headsets on and you were fielding 100, 200, 300 phone calls a day, talking to individual investors and talking to financial advisors.
Wow.
So that's what really set the tone for me in the industry was they trained the heck out of me. I mean, I'm so fortunate that they gave me an opportunity 24 years ago, or almost 24 years ago, that they put all the time and effort into training me, getting me security license, learning investments, learning the industry. And I wake up every day thankful that I had that training.
And so, obviously fielding that many calls a day, that's a lot of reps, that's a lot of opportunity, it builds confidence, gives you ability to talk to people, which again is something personable. I mean, I always say about real estate and financial advisors, I know, because you're always asking me to get together, and Jen and I are always putting it off. But
that might be an understatement.
I know, exactly. But there are very few industries where you sit face to face with clients today. Mm-hmm. Very few. Okay, financial advisor is obviously one of them. Real estate agents go to someone's kitchen table and do it. And in this day and age with technology, everything else, very few industries do you sit face to face. Do you lean on all that time that you were in the call center making those calls when you're obviously give you the confidence to have these? It's different, but obviously all those reps mean something later on and give you the confidence to be able to feel comfortable about meeting with clients face to face.
Yeah, I mean, my time in the call center was important because Obviously learned a lot about client interactions. Again, when the market's up, call volumes are low.
Yeah, yeah.
When the market's down, call volumes are up through the roof, right?
Yeah,
So two emotions that are involved in investing, it's fear and it's greed,
Yeah.
okay? Right now in the financial markets, the greed factor is kicked in, right? However, when that emotion, that fearful emotion kicks in for clients, they get nervous, they panic, and that's when they reach out, like in the call center situation.
Yeah.
So that prepped me, obviously, for my career as a financial advisor, all that work on the phone, because, to this day, we still talk to clients each and every day on the phone. What was a big transition point, though, for our practice and a lot of other businesses was the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our primary client base is 50 and above, but we work with a good senior population. Prior to the pandemic, I couldn't convince the vast majority of our senior clients to get on a Zoom appointment. Oh,
Yeah.
Chris, we don't do that. That's technology. That's something our kids do. That's something our grandkids do. You know what? Let's just do a phone conversation, or you'd have to fight to get them to the office.
Yeah.
Okay. Global pandemic comes in, literally changes our lives. Okay. And then it forced people into those virtual meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. So then our business transformed into, especially during the pandemic, of relying on those Zoom meetings, which was awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
But I talked to my team early on and I said, thankfully, we're in an advice business where, we don't have to shut down. We're not a small business that couldn't have clients come in. We're very fortunate. Let's leverage this technology while we can, but let's set ourselves up for when this pandemic is over.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've been to our office.
Yeah.
Okay. We doubled down on in-person. Okay. A lot of businesses have geared themselves more to the virtual space. Maybe that works for them. What works the best for us is that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
Okay. You can learn a lot of stuff working with your clients via Zoom. That's great. But when you're sitting face-to-face, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So that's why we've got about 2,400 square feet at our new office. All of our educational events that we do, that has really been the cornerstone of our business. We do all of those in-house now. So we've really, put a big emphasis, again, on face-to-face.
On the educational events, I think it's great because I know that's been a big cornerstone for you. But like, if you think about, we have access to data and information everywhere today, okay? YouTube, all these different areas, like you can chat GPT, all these different things, there's access to information. But yet, there's something to be said about a business like yours that's still going face-to-face in front of you, and you're getting the attendance. I see all your events, they're heavily attended. What do you think that is? You think it's just more confusion, that because there's so much information that's available that you don't know what's right, what's wrong, what am I being sold, and then getting people face-to-face kind of breaks that clarity? Is that where you see most people coming in, or you're in building that trust over time?
Yep. So I'll give you a breakdown on the educational events. So we open them up, obviously, to our clients.
Yeah.
Okay. We found that if you can educate your clients on certain topics, and again, we talk about a lot of different topics, retirement income planning, estate planning, identity theft, Social Security, topics that are very, very important to our clients. But we also offer those up to our prospective clients. It just makes it so much easier if a prospective client, maybe we had a phone conversation or an initial face-to-face consultation with them, if we can get them to start coming to our educational events, by the time they've attended a few, usually by the end of a presentation, they'll say, hey, I want to come in. I want to get things moving with you.
Yeah.
So that's been very successful for us.
Yeah. What I was going to say is like, so you have these educational events and you're covering topics that are obviously, a lot of what you do, though, I feel like is consumer advocacy in a lot of ways, and consumer education, which is, there's obviously a big void of that now, because what's the biggest mistakes that you see people making as they go through, and obviously end up getting the advice that they need from you, but what are the mistakes that people are making when they're younger because I look at people's credit profiles every single day.
Yeah.
Most people aren't thinking about retirement. They're thinking about, I got to buy a house, I got to do this. My kids are playing hockey, my kids are doing travel, baseball. We got to worry about that. Our money's going here. I got to buy, they're not thinking about when they're 60 and 70, what that life's going to look like. So what's the biggest mistake that you see people making? And I'm sure there's tons, but maybe just a few, and then ways to think about it differently from a consumer standpoint and how you get in front of it to avoid making that mistake.
Yeah. You see it a lot. Unfortunately, we live in a society right now with all the social media. Again, it's got a lot of benefits, but people watch social media. They see people driving the big cars. They have the big jewelry, especially younger people, and they want to be just like the people that they watch on social media.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge for young investors is they don't start investing money when they're young.
Because you never get back time, right?
Correct.
That time in the market. You can't make it up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Very well said, because I hear that all the time on, don't worry about it. I'm going to live the first 10 years post-graduating college. I'm 22 now. By the time I'm 32, I'll have taken all the vacations. I'll have bought all the, the watches or the cars that I want. Then I'm going to start investing. And I'll be making a lot more money.
Yeah.
Well, you can't make up for time. So if you put money away for a long period of time and you stay disciplined and you have the appropriate level of risk, retirement's going to take care of itself.
Yeah.
It's just the people that they wait 10, 15, 20 years and now they're way behind and they just can't make up for missing out on those years.
And when you're thinking about retirement and you're considering, is there any when should you seek the advice of a financial advisor? Because everyone obviously, when you go to an employer, you invest in your 401k and everyone says, I'm investing, but they have no idea what that means. Mm-hmm. Or, I don't want to give up too much of my pay, so I'm going to do this much. They're worried about now, not later. When is the time that you actually want to sit down with a financial advisor? Is it ever too early? Or when is the best time to do it in the process?
As early as you can sit down with a financial advisor, the better. Okay?
Do you think everyone understands that? Do you think people say I don't have enough money. I don't, no one's going to want to talk to me.
Yep. That is a challenge.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I work with a lot of my clients' kids and even grandkids. Even we've got clients, we've got multiple generations where I work with the great-grandkids now.
Yeah.
So, and again, I do that as a value add to the parents or to the grandparents. They've got good assets with us. We've built a wonderful relationship. They want the best for their kids. So do I.
Yeah.
So we'll meet with them. So, to anyone that might have parents or grandparents that work with a financial advisor, that would be a good start. If you're just starting out investing, where you and I didn't have, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, was the internet and all these different tools that you can educate yourself on what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you start early, be disciplined, put away a bunch of money or as much money as you can, take advantage of your employer match if you have one. It's going to set you up for success in the future.
And then how do you feel about, do you guys use any calculations for purchases or when you should buy a home? Obviously I'm in the mortgage business. We talk to a lot of realtors. I always say the first call that a lot of people make that have a financial advisor when they're going to make a big purchase is their financial advisor. Mm-hmm. And you're either going to say, are you crazy? You shouldn't be doing this. You're on track for retirement. No, you don't want to take money out. So what are those conversations like around real estate? Because, and the reason I ask is we're in a very unique time. You have a lot of seniors that are aging in place, okay, where they're living in their house because they own it free and clear. They've done great in real estate over the years. I think the average loan to value in the United States right now is 44%. Okay. There's over 50% of people own their home free and clear. Real estate is in a very good spot right now, like a lot of things. But what happens a lot of times that we see is there's a life event that happens, and then the people have to downsize and they're forced into a move, that they weren't expecting in a time that wasn't. What are your conversations around real estate right now with a lot of your clients after retirement?
Conversations with clients in regards to real estate, a lot of those conversations for us is clients wanting to buy a second home. they're getting close to retirement. They want to buy a house in Florida or Arizona. They want to be snowbirds.
Yeah.
I'm a certified financial planner, so really the cornerstone of what we do is holistic financial planning. So anytime that real estate comes into play, we're going to run projections in their financial plan to say, yes, you can afford this. You want to pay cash. Here's what it looks like. If you want to finance that property, here's what it looks like. And then as clients get older, especially when they want to go into senior living, then we're having conversations about either downsizing if they're going to stay, living on their own, or if they're going to go to senior living. It's working with them, working with a realtor to determine, what do we think the house is worth, what type of senior communities are we looking at, what are the monthly fees. So there's a lot that goes into that decision-making process.
And how much of your conversation, and I know you've personally dealt with this, but I've been dealing with it with a lot of clients, is, the cost of obviously some of these retirement communities is, depending on the type of care, can be, way more than people are expecting.
Yep.
And not only does the retiree have to think about that, but usually it's the kids and the family, and that's where we deal a lot with it, with people. So can you talk a little bit about, how you help manage that for your clients so it's not a burden on their family? Because one of the a guy that I used to, a client of mine, said to me is that the best gift that his mom and dad ever gave him was his mom and dad had a financial advisor. They took care of a will. They took care of everything. So God forbid when something happened to them, they didn't have all the work that they needed to do anything. Like the gift from his mom and dad, where they took care of all the decisions, all the financials, all the everything, where sometimes when unfortunately something happens, you leave that burden to your kids who are not prepared, who have no idea how to manage it. They're calling you, what's happening? So how do you prepare clients to not put themselves in that position?
Yep, great question. One of the hardest parts of our job is convincing clients to do their estate planning.
Yeah.
So estate planning could be a revocable living trust, wills, healthcare, financial powers of attorney. A lot of clients don't see the value in it because it doesn't benefit them today.
And just to be clear on that, because I think that's not just for old people.
No.
You should do that at the latest when you have kids.
Yep.
I remember your brother Kevin said to me before Jake was born, and I still remember exactly what he said. He's like, "Okay, so you and Jen go on a work trip, and the plane goes down, and you both die." He's like, "What's going to happen?" I was like, "Well, thank you, Kevin, for the positive thought." Yeah.
Thanks for putting that.
That's a typical Kevin, but it always stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And it was the best. It's like
acted on it.
I acted on it because it was like, oh yeah, well, I need to figure this out. But I don't think most people so there's no age where you should not do this, or you should do it right away. Is that accurate?
Well, the thing is, what people don't realize is everyone has an estate. Okay. Yeah. When people think of the word estate, they think of these billionaires that are out there that have these lavishing large estates, right? Everyone has an estate. Someone's estate might be worth $5. Someone's estate might be worth $500 million or $5 billion, right? Yeah. But everyone should have some form of estate planning, okay? When you're younger and you have kids, having estate planning in place, like the example that you just gave, in the event that something happened to you and your wife, who do you want to take care of your kids, okay? Yeah. And then all of a sudden there's kind of that aha moment with young clients like, wait a minute, I never thought about that. Well, do you want the state to determine who's going to look after your kids, or do you want to make sure that you put pen to paper and put that in a document?
Yeah.
So we always encourage clients, young and old, to do the estate planning.
And then also to if God forbid something were to happen, state of Illinois goes to probate with real estate. If you don't have any direct, it can be a disaster. And you're already dealing with the death of a family member, and then God forbid, we get a lot of calls like that where someone will call me and I have nothing I can do. I have to refer them out. But it's just a horrible place to be. So is that a big part of the financial planning? You did talk about you were a certified financial planner, right? Is that what you said? So what's the difference between that and a financial advisor?
A certified financial planner is the gold standard of credentials for financial advisors or financial planners. Just to give you a little bit of a background on the CFP, and the CFP board right now they're doing a wonderful job in terms of marketing. See a lot of commercials on all the financial programs, some of the streaming services. So they've really done a good job around the campaign. It's called "It's Gotta Be a CFP." Yeah. So a little bit of a quick background on the CFP. It's 7 different courses that you have to take. Courses like investments, estate planning, taxation. At the end, you have to do a financial plan based on a case study that's graded by a live person. Then once you've gotten all that taken care of, you get your certificate in financial planning. Then comes the grueling 6-hour exam.
Wow.
That I think the pass rate, it's usually in the low 60%.
Wow.
So the CFP is important because if you're a consumer and you're looking for financial advice, especially if somebody hasn't referred you to that advisor, if you see CFP after an advisor's name, you at least know that they went through all of that coursework, went through a grueling 6-hour exam, and they're competent in the financial planning process.
It's great. It's great. So, so I'm assuming it's a much smaller percentage. Is there limited, like, can you do more than a financial advisor then as far as advising clients? Is there differences in that standpoint as far as what you can manage, or is there any difference in that, or is it just a classification within the industry?
Yeah, well, the number one differentiator from a CFP professional like myself and an advisor that doesn't have those credentials is, as CFPs, we're bound by the fiduciary standard of care.
Okay.
So obviously the word fiduciary, I'm thankful now a lot of clients ask about it.
Yeah.
In years past, it never came up, but I think
that's the advertising that's going on?
I think it's the advertising, and clients are just a lot smarter these days, right? Like back in the day when you didn't have all these different resources that we have available, they weren't really able to, do their due diligence and really ask those good questions.
Yeah.
So I love when I get the fiduciary question, because I just point to my CFP on the wall, and you take on the fiduciary standard of care, where an advisor who doesn't have a CFP might not be bound by the fiduciary standard of care.
That's awesome. I mean, who would have thought the great education in Darien, Illinois would have led you to a CFP designation? It's pretty awesome. So one of the things I talk a lot about with realtors, and you said something to me in a meeting a really long time ago when we were talking, and because a lot of realtors watch us, I wanted to mention it because I think it's really important, is you talked about in the very beginning that, again, I said that a lot of clients will reach out to their financial advisor, okay, when they're going to make a move, and that you can be a conduit to, referring a realtor, helping that out. And how I always explained it is there's nothing worse than you have a client, you spend all their time with them, you're meeting face to face, and a realtor or lender who spends 5 minutes with that client is like, oh, just pull all the money out of your retirement and pay cash, and you got to hurry up and do this, and ruins everything that you did. So it's why you want control, and you refer out people that are going to help, keep the same messaging and don't put the clients at a risk of doing something that ultimately that person's unaware of, because you're following their fiduciary responsibility of, providing good advice, where sometimes people outside. So I always say, to realtors, and you had made a comment to me one time that, sometimes you would reach out or you wouldn't get a call back, or you wouldn't get the level of service that you wanted from realtors, but yet, you were the gatekeeper in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So can you talk a little bit about how important, it is for realtors to know and understand the financial advisors in their market? Like everyone, we're always looking for ways to get business or do things, and they do a lot of dumb things to get business. Mm-hmm. Sometimes relationships, with a financial advisor are way more valuable than anything else, because they can refer clients to you. You can refer clients to them. Can you talk a little bit about how important that is? But more importantly, how important it is to, make sure they understand that you're know more than they do about their financial picture, and to work with you on how to make that happen for the client.
Yeah, I would encourage all realtors, reach out to financial advisors.
Yeah.
We're the gatekeeper, to our clients' finances, right? So having an open dialogue with financial advisors, we have a very big referral network. Obviously you've helped a lot of our clients over the years, whether it's a new purchase or a refinance. We refer out estate planning attorneys, accountants. So for realtors to start networking with good financial advisors can really help them build their business.
When I think what realtors don't realize too, and I always say this, is like the reason they have their own home inspector is so the home inspector doesn't screw up a deal. The reason why they have a lender is so the lender doesn't screw up the deal.
Yep.
The reason they have an attorney is so the attorney, like they have their team. It's just a lot of times it doesn't include a financial advisor. And to me, I think that's one of the biggest missing pieces. Our industry has gotten so crazy with, we've got Redfin that purchased, Rocket purchased Redfin. So Rocket services 1 out of every 5 mortgages in the United States. Okay. So if you think about that, they're going to have a stranglehold on a large segment of the market. And they're going to have mortgage services. They're going to have real estate services between the two. Okay. So there's a lot of panic in the industry regarding that. But I think the opportunity that doesn't get talked about, accountants, divorce attorneys, financial advisors, you have access to clients. And if you have a good business and can provide good service and help you, that is where you want to be. I just don't think people understand the value or even understand how integral a financial advisor is on someone moving forward. Now, the question I have around that is, what is the best way for a realtor working with a financial advisor to, like, what do you look for in a partner that you work with, any referral partner? I know it's the typical client, taking care of my client, but is there anything particular now that you've been in the business, own your own practice, that you really look for?
Yes. I'm going to put that on pause for 1 second because I want to come back to this on something you had talked about. To your realtor network, it's important for them to know that we need realtors, right? Because we're not in the real estate space.
Yep.
We need to refer our clients to trusted real estate partners. And if we have any questions on the local real estate market, we want to call the realtors that we work with.
Yep.
Okay, so realtors are very important to us. And again, I can assure all the realtors out there that a financial advisor to a realtor is a very big deal.
Yeah, I love it. And I honestly, like, when I say it to realtors, you can see they're like, oh, I didn't even think, like, it's just not something that's ever been on the radar.
Yep.
We have all these real estate coaches that coach all this other stuff that's not. But, like, what are you looking for in a referral partner? What is I know you have a great referral network. I've used a lot of them. But how did you assemble that, and what do you look for?
Yeah, what we look for is, number one, years in the business, right?
Yeah.
As much as you'd like to give an opportunity to somebody who just started, 6 months ago in real estate, we're very, very protective of our clients. A lot of our clients we've worked with for a long time. So just as they had vetted us, to hire us, we go through a pretty deep dive in terms of our due diligence process on interviewing our real estate partners, meeting face-to-face with them, getting a good understanding that they're knowledgeable in the real estate market, they've been around long enough, and once they meet those credentials, then we accept them into our referral network.
Yeah, that's great. So one of the things that I always ask, if I get referred to someone and they say, like, oh, we're taking money from here, I'm like, oh, do you have a financial advisor? It's so-and-so. I'm like, oh, is it all right if you want me to, like, I'm more than happy to reach out to him. Does he have any questions? Please pass my number. Because the worst thing that I want someone to do is, like, I'm doing something that is going to mess up anything else. Because sometimes, and I'm sure you can experience this, like, sometimes clients go rogue a little bit. And even from me, and I always want to help the financial advisor or the accountant or anybody that's involved. Sometimes it's mom and dad. I'm getting a down payment from mom and dad. Okay, you want me to talk to mom and dad? Because it's like the more people I can talk to, the less likely we are to have an issue later of someone doing something that wasn't prepared earlier. Do you spend a lot of your time when someone's in a making either a move, job change? Like, how do you handle those, shifts in a planning to make sure it doesn't impact anything else in the process? Because you have accountants, you have all these different things, especially small business owners. Do you have to get a lot of people in the room before advising?
Yeah, well, when we do the financial planning process, especially when we first start working with a client and we build a comprehensive financial plan, a lot of the times the client thinks, okay, we put all this time and energy into the plan and it's set it and forget it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it's not. And what I explain to clients is, we're with you every step of the way. So there's going to be life events. There might be a marriage, there might be a divorce, a death of a spouse, a job change, a move out of state. We're with them every step of the way, to help them through those changes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it depending upon the circumstances, it could be speaking with their estate planning attorney, their accountant, the medical benefits contact.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into those big life events.
And how many times are you meeting with clients, okay, and discovering things within those meetings that you weren't aware of? As many times as you're communicating, as many times you're having educational events, are those meetings an opportunity for you to kind of almost like a discovery mission a little bit, just to make sure that they're on track?
Yeah, our strategic review meetings, again, depending upon the client, we like to at least have 2 strategic review meetings a year. Some people want more, some people want less.
Yeah.
We obviously tailor that to the client, but I've been surprised many of times.
Yeah.
When clients come in with specific news, I went out and, I made this huge purchase. I'm like, okay, you didn't call your financial advisor about that?
Yeah.
Or maybe you didn't call me because maybe I would have tried to talk you out of it,
Yeah,
right?
well,
Because it wasn't in your best interest financially, right?
Yeah.
So that does happen from time to time, where sitting face to face, you learn more about a client, like I had said earlier, than like a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Now, in the educational events, the magic for us at the educational events is, if I'm speaking on Social Security, Medicare, whatever the topic is, I'm always surprised at some of the questions that my clients will ask or information that they'll bring up in these educational events.
Yeah.
So the educational events are powerful to us because it's another way to connect with our clients outside of that strategic review.
Yeah.
As you know, we've done enough strategic review meetings. From a compliance standpoint, we obviously have to do a portfolio review, update the financial plan, run through the financial plan, forward-looking projections.
Yeah.
A lot we got to fit into that meeting. So by doing the educational events, it's another way for us to engage with our clients and just learn more about them.
And I think what most people don't realize, I think you have all this education, these certifications, you do all these things at a financial advisor, but the thing that I love about having Chris is there's been a few moments where I'm panicking, and like a financial advisor is talking me off the ledge and just saying, hey, you're fine. And how much of it is just handling emotions day to day? And, you talked about your call center. It's no different today. Up days, I'm sure, kind of quiet in the office. And then down days, you get, more phone calls or questions or concerns. How much of your job is more just managing the emotions and keeping people almost, I don't want to say don't watch it, but how much is it just, letting the plan play out?
A big part of our job is managing emotions, right?
Yeah.
I always joke with clients, I go, when the market's hitting all-time highs like it has been, I don't get phone calls saying, Chris, I'm making too much money. Like, whoa, bud, slow it down a
hey,
bit.
Thank you so much.
I'm up $2 million this year, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Never get those kind of phone calls. Obviously, we get those phone calls when the markets get volatile.
Yeah.
And that's a big piece of what we do, and what I don't think a lot of clients realize initially that don't work with a financial advisor.
Yeah.
It's just like in your space, in the mortgage space with realtors, we always want to have full transparency on fees, right?
Yeah.
So, clients that haven't worked with a financial advisor, maybe a roadblock is those fees.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you can talk a client out of making an emotionally driven decision, that could save them tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of
Of course.
dollars.
Yeah.
Just keeping them engaged, showing them historical data, saying, "Hey, we've experienced this before.
Yeah.
The markets have always come back and then gone higher."
Yeah.
And keeping them engaged, keeping them in their seats, that's going to take care of your fee for many, many years.
Yeah. I know. Chris being a friend as long as he has, I've never had like oh, you're friends. Why would you want your friend to know your finances? Like, I've never had that feeling. But do you find, when you're acquiring clients and meeting people, do you find there's like this roadblock if they feel like they haven't made the right decisions leading up to, talking with you? Is there that's the hesitation that they've done to reach out to you, but when they finally do, they realize, maybe they're not as, far off as they have? Because I see that a lot with clients where I'll say hey, I know she got this 401k. Did you get a financial advisor? No. I'm like, I really think you should talk to someone. Like, you're getting ready to move a job. You're going to have this 401k. Like, what are your plans? And, and they always look at me like, oh, I'm not ready for that yet. Do you find that it's kind of like a stumbling block where people have this thing in their head where they're, I don't want to say embarrassed, but maybe intimidated by taking that next step of talking to someone?
100%.
Yeah.
And you can see it in our initial meetings with clients, especially, when you're working with a prospect and you're going through their finances, you're starting to build out a financial plan for them, and you can just see the nervousness, the tension on that client. And then as we go through the whole exploratory process on learning about their finances and their goals, and then you start to build out that financial plan, and they start to see the magic happen. And it's like, wait a minute, I do have enough money. I can retire at 65 or 70, whatever age they want to retire, or whatever goal we're planning for. And then all of a sudden you see their shoulders kind of come down, and it's like a sigh of relief, right?
Yeah.
It's just like the analogy is, people don't like to go to the doctor. They don't feel good because they think they're going to get bad news.
Yeah.
Well, do you not want to go see the doctor and then have those chest pains, have you keel over? Or do you want to seek professional help and get ahead of it?
I always say, having you and your brother, Kevin, as friends growing up, I can remember all the way back to us going to Powerhouse Gym, and I would buy the shake every day, and your brother and you would always do these and back then it was $5. I mean, that was a lot of money back then.
That was inflation adjusted today.
Yeah, it was probably 20.
That's an expensive protein shake.
Yeah, so I would buy these shakes every day, and you guys would always scare me with these analogies. Do you realize that if you did this every single day, and you over 30 years, it's going to be, and you always had that in my head, and I was always thankful for that because I remember Kevin was buying stock when he was younger, and you guys were always into the finance piece of it. Did you get that from your dad, maybe uncle, your dad's brother? Where'd you get that love of that stuff?
For me, it was in college. I took a lot of economics courses.
Yeah.
And then I became fascinated with the financial markets. Again, my brother, as you know, is 4 years older than me, so I was kind of seeing his track in investing.
Yeah.
That was in the late 90s. I started, investing in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And that's really how I got hooked on finance.
Yeah. And then, so let's talk about, so you got into the financial industry, you went to your first job in the call center, and then from there, is that when you got into wholesaling?
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you talk a little bit, because that obviously prepared you for a lot of what you're doing today as well. What was that? Because that's a totally different lifestyle. On the road, traveling, totally different than what you're doing now.
Yep. So my track in the business, as we had already discussed, was in the call center.
Yeah.
So in our Chicago office, again, because you were working downtown at the same time, so we were right there in the loop, and we had a large Chicago office that had our call center, had our marketing, had our sales desk, and for a lot of us that really enjoyed talking to advisors and clients in the call center, a lot of us wanted to get up to the sales desk.
Yeah.
It was a big step for you in your career. So I was in the call center about a year and a half. And again, the goal was always spend as little as time as you could in the call center, right?
Yeah.
But I worked my way up to the internal sales desk. And then what I was doing on the internal sales desk was I was covering Colorado and Utah, and I was working with an external partner that was based in Colorado. And what he did was he would go and travel around to meet with financial advisors on a daily basis, sitting face to face with them. And my job was calling on financial advisors from the Chicago office. Again, educating them about our, the different investment solutions that we have, learning about their practice, learning about their clients to see where some of our investment solutions would be a good fit.
And during that time, you were doing that wholesaling. Mm-hmm. And how long did you do that for?
So I did that for about 3.5 years. And then my next step in the business was to be that external wholesaler who's on the ground meeting with financial advisors on a daily basis. So I took my first external wholesaling job. It was right after the Bears Super Bowl.
There you go.
Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. Peyton Manning got in the way of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So February of 2007.
We had the first 10 seconds. That was the highlight.
We thought we had a chance. So, in February of 2007 is when I got my first external wholesaling job.
Yeah.
And again, I loved it. Being out on the road, being out, on my own, going to meet with financial advisors.
Yeah.
A lot of wonderful people in our industry. I learned a tremendous amount about being a financial advisor because I was working with some of the best financial advisors in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But I was also working with some of the worst financial advisors. I mean, I saw everything from the best of the best to the bottom of the bottom. So in those years of wholesaling, again, obviously I learned a lot about the retail side of the business. When working with financial advisors, I used to do a lot of presentations for their clients, okay? And I really developed a passion for working with the end client. Because I would meet a lot of clients at these educational events. I'd speak for 45 minutes or an hour. They'd come up afterwards. We'd have this good dialogue. They'd have good feedback or questions for me. And the thought was always in the back of my head that I want to start my own practice.
Yeah.
And then finally got to a point where, just traveling, I spent, I think I've got 1,000 nights in the Marriott. And again, I haven't traveled in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I've logged 1,000 nights in the Marriott. So that's, all the travel, in and out of rental cars, airplanes, airports. It just got old.
Yeah.
So that was really the springboard for me to start my own.
I always commend you for this, and I don't know if you can talk about it a little bit, but how old were you when you, switched to being in the financial industry? Like when you got out of wholesaling and started your own and being a financial advisor. So how old were you?
That's a good question. So I was probably in my early 30s.
Okay, so early 30s. Did you have a kid yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big transition. Mm-hmm. You're basically starting a whole new career.
Yep.
Okay? Most people don't do that because it's a big transition and because it's a risk and there's no guarantees. You're not guaranteed money immediately. You're taking a huge risk. So that is what separates, a lot of business owners from people that are, W-2 and, doing whatever because they don't want to take that risk. Mm-hmm. So what do you think it was? Have you ever thought about was there ever any doubt that you were going to do that? Or was there any hesitation? Or was it something like you're like, I'm just going to do this and I'm going, whether it works or not, I'm just going to do it. Did you put a lot of thought to that? Because the reason I ask that is because sometimes people don't think about failure. They only just do and they never look back. Was there a lot of thought that went into that or was that just something you just dove into?
No, there was a lot of thought behind it. Again, many years of working with advisors and working with their clients. I knew at one point in my life that, I was going to want to start my own practice.
You're like, if this guy can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, with some of the people, it's like, wow, if people trust you with money, this can't be too challenging.
Yeah.
But no, on a serious note, the big thing for me, what got to me, which was really the springboard for me to start my own practice, I got tired of corporate America. Okay. I loved wholesaling. I loved being out, meeting with advisors and their clients. And even though the travel was crazy, I loved it.
Yeah.
What I didn't love was the politics in corporate America. It's you win an award one year, and then the next year they take away half of your firms that you can call on and increase your goal by 200%.
Yeah.
Right. And I just got sick of that environment. So that was really the springboard for me. And again, a mutual friend of ours, Ryan, he had made the similar transition maybe 3 or 4 years prior to me doing it. So I leaned on his advice, and he said, listen, this is the best move I made.
Yeah.
And, obviously I took that to heart. I knew I wanted to do it. And I've always been a big advocate of play without a safety net. You have to take risks in your life if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've built a very, very successful mortgage practice. You didn't do that without taking risks.
I think there's almost a sickness sometimes in people where they just don't think about, I talk about it all the time. You almost don't think about it too much because, I mean, you put thought to it. There's obviously planning, but I never really thought about, I wasn't going to fail. I was like, I didn't have any other option. Yeah. Like I was just going to, the other thing I always talk about, which I'm curious because I know Kate and I know your family, like you don't make a move like that without a lot of support at home. So you have to have a conversation like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I had to do that with Jen. And, if you have the pressure at home, you can't always win at work because you're going back and forth. And one of the first questions I always ask when someone wants to get in our business is, what's your support like at home? Like, do you have someone that understands what you're going to do? Are you going to do this? Are you going to get, if you got to be here at 8:00 at night, are you going to get, shit and have to come home? Or are you going to be able to do the things that are necessary? Because this is not a part-time gig. So, you obviously had to have a conversation with Kate. Like, you have a lot of support there. What was that conversation like? And, obviously a big part of how you got to where you are today.
Mm-hmm. Interesting question. The conversation in my household, believe it or not, was actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
I was traveling so much.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden Kate's like, wait a minute, you're going to be home all the time now?
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to know which city you're in, because you leave on a Monday morning, you come back, late on a Friday. So that conversation for me was very easy. And as you know, Kate works in healthcare.
Yeah.
She runs an emergency department. She's busy beyond belief.
Yeah.
So she understands the hard work, the discipline, that you have to put into your career to be successful. So for me, the conversation, it was actually pretty easy.
I mean, that's very fortunate though, because like most people don't have that. I deal with it all the time. Yeah, like
100%.
It weighs on people and it prevents their growth in an industry because if you don't have the buy-in, and because it's teamwork. Like you and Kate are a team. Me and Jen are a team. Like I have to sacrifice things to be able to do the things I do here. You have to sacrifice things with your kids and family and everything to do the things that you want to do, and that comes with a price. And not everyone's willing to pay that price.
Yep.
And some people see the the glory, like, oh, he's got this great office, but they don't see all the nights on the road, all the
missed soccer games.
Yes, all that stuff. Like you don't see that stuff, and I don't think people realize that. That's why, like, when you have the support at home and it's an easy conversation. Because what if you knew it wasn't going to be an easy conversation? Maybe you don't have the conversation at all, and you take the easy path. So that's why it matters. I feel like. The team, for lack of a better word, that you have around you. It's really important. And on that, you have an amazing team, okay? You got Lucky, Jake. I have a Tom. You have a Jake. You have an amazing assistant. Like, how did that come about? What was that process like? Because I'm always passionate about building a team. It's something that I've, tried to do. And, so I'm just curious, like, what that process was like.
Well, we got extremely lucky 5 years ago. We just celebrated a week or two ago her 5-year anniversary with us. Our client relationship manager, Jennifer, we were looking to add another person to our team 5 years ago, interviewed a lot of people. And I just talked to her when we had lunch, when our team had a lunch to celebrate that 5-year anniversary. I brought this back up to her. I said, what really impressed me about you was in that interview, you came prepped with success stories. You pushed back on some of the things that I said, and I really appreciated that. And, I said at the time to the team, I said, we have to bring this lady in for a second interview. I think she's highly, highly talented. She crushed the second interview, and here we are 5 years down the road, and we're so thankful that Jennifer's part of our team because I always tell clients she's the director of first impressions. When you walk into our office, I mean, she's the first person that our clients interact with. And sometimes I think, clients, like working with Jen more than they like working with Jake or I. But
I mean, listen, I joke about it all the time. Like we get Google reviews and I'll talk to a customer and everyone will talk to the customer and they'll mention everyone else's name in the Google review except for mine, which I love. Yeah. And, because they had a great experience. And I'm always like, do they not like, hey, I'm over here, but that's the sign of a great team is when people, lean on your team.
Yep. Yeah. And then Jake, the advisor that works with me, we got lucky with Jake. Jake's a real smart kid, graduated from University of Illinois Champaign. And, we took a chance on him because he was fresh out of college. Yep. Started with us. He's about 6 years with us now. And you really need young talent on your team these days. Yeah. I mean, again, I know you with technology, especially as Gen Xers. You're way ahead in the technology space than most people in our age bracket. But having young talent is so critical. Yeah. With all the AI stuff that we use, Jake handles a lot of that. So he's been a huge part of our team. Our clients really like working with him. If I'm out of the office, anything that they need, he can talk to them about their accounts, the financial markets. I'm just blessed. I'm very thankful for the team we have.
Yeah, you've built a great team. So what does it look like, year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Now that you are in your new office, you guys are situated, probably feel like you're kind of, really thinking about growth, I'm assuming. Like, what's kind of the plan?
So the plan moving forward is, actually, Tom had asked this to me when I came in, how things going. Been extremely busy. All of this new technology, especially our financial planning software, has been a game changer for us. Clients that were early adapters on that technology have really seen the value in that. So we're starting to see a lot of referrals now. Yeah. As you know, you've been to the office. We've got another office built out to add a third advisor. We have other space that we can convert to other offices down the road. So, we're in rapid growth mode. Yeah. So, we're just, doing the best we can for our clients, sticking to our process, meeting with clients, doing our educational events, and and good things will continue.
So, kind of with everything going on right now with government shutdown, all these things, like what's kind of your feeling for when you sit down with people and people are, wanting to think about the future and they're thinking about, there's just so much noise. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there like a theme that you've been kind of, I don't want to say story because that doesn't sound genuine, but like, is there like a storyline or something that you're using to kind of keep people focused on what matters versus all the noise that's out there? Because it can be really distracting and it gets people off. We've seen it even in the housing market where, we have activity, but people almost seem a little bit like paralyzed a little bit where they just don't know what to do. They're worried about their job. They're, they see layoffs. Like, how do you kind of get through all of that to not get people off of their plan?
Good example of that was last year. It was an election year. Our big theme last year was don't play politics with your investment portfolio.
Love it.
Because it's, as the good thing is we've got all these sources of information. The bad thing is we have all these sources of information, right? Yeah. So unfortunately, certain people, they believe whatever they hear on some of these social medias, and we're obviously, I'm a fiduciary, I'm in a very highly regulated business, if you're Joe Schmo on TikTok
Yeah.
and want to give financial advice, you can, where I can't, but they can, right?
Yeah.
So people listen to this. And again, I encourage people, if they hear stuff on whether it's a credible financial program or it's the local guy on TikTok, let's have a conversation around that. But you have to be very careful on, believing some of the stuff that's out there, because if you act on all of this information, it could be detrimental to your long-term
Yeah,
goals.
it's scary. Like, I think we deal with that so much today is, the stuff that people, I'm starting to see it now where people are using ChatGPT, which I think is awesome because they're getting access to more information. They're asking better questions, but sometimes the information is not accurate. And I think that's the scary part, because my concern is that if they don't ask you, or they don't ask me, or they don't ask their accountant, and they take advice from someone that they shouldn't, does that lead down a path, that you weren't expecting? So, do you find anybody coming with better questions because they're going to ChatGPT and say, "What about this investment? What about," do you find that technology is changing the questions that you're getting?
We have seen that to an extent.
Yeah.
The good thing is I believe ChatGPT just put out that it can no longer do medical, legal, or financial advice, which I think is really going to save people.
They don't want to get sued. Yeah.
Right. And again, as amazing as AI is, and it's life changing in some aspects, there is that drawback of when you don't have a human, they're implementing investments or a financial plan. People could really go down the wrong path by getting that kind of information. It definitely streamlines questions and, opens up dialogue with us.
How are you and Jake leveraging AI in your day-to-day? Like, how have you adopted that? How are you using it? Is it providing efficiency? Like, how are you leveraging that?
Yeah. What's been a real big game changer for us on the educational events is when we're putting together a presentation where we used to sit there and we would take a topic like Medicare. Now, again, Medicare I've been doing for the last 10 years, so I pretty much know all the bullet points that I want to hit on. But any kind of changes that happen, you can literally, where that would take us hours to do, a couple clicks of a button, and all of a sudden we have
amazing.
That info.
Yeah.
Or like Canva for presentations.
Yeah.
That is just the ultimate game changer of, it gives you kind of a template to work off of, where that would have taken hours or days to put together. Now we're talking about, minutes to generate that. But then to go into that and fine tune it and make it to what we need and then submit it to compliance. But it's making us so much more efficient.
I think that's the key that I don't think people realize. I think a lot of people fight AI because they want to just go against the grain. Mm-hmm. It's not replacing, what you do day to day. It's just making you way more efficient. And what I say from my team and everybody is like, if I can do all these things, these tasks that make me not face to face with a client or on the phone doing sales, like, if I can take those tasks and put those through AI, and I can spend more time face to face, as crazy as that sounds, or more time on Zoom calls and more times in sales and more times doing sales, like, I'm going to be that much more successful because I'm not coming back and then doing, all these tasks. In the mortgage industry, I'm sure it's the same in the financial industry. We had so many tasks that AI is going to, can do in seconds, and surface to us and do these things. So I think that's the exciting part. The other question I had for you on AI, and we've talked about it, is how much does AI come up it's come up in our financial planning, but how much does it come up in financial planning from a standpoint of, you're in an industry, AI is going to have massive disruption in a lot of different industries, accounting, you name it, everything. Because companies are going to say, oh, this costs me nothing, and I have these 10 workers that do this, and now the AI can do that. What does that look like 10 years from now, and how much of an impact is it going to have on what you do from a financial planning standpoint?
Yeah, going back to what you had just said, the time savings.
Yeah.
A couple things it's going to help us achieve is, number one, be able to do more for clients, right?
Yeah.
We do a lot for clients. We do investment management, financial planning. but then we help clients in a lot of other parts of their life, right?
Yeah.
Like I just had a client that I happened to talk to. This is, I don't know, maybe about a month ago. She was trying to buy a new minivan. She's like, I'm not really happy with the deal. They don't really want to budge. I just want, $1,000 more off, and we're gonna I would move forward with the deal.
Yeah.
Client of ours is a general manager of a car dealership. Their auto group owns a Honda dealership. So I reached out to my client. I said, I got a real good client looking to buy a van. Here's the deal. Can you have the Honda store take good care of her?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, I get a call. Thank you so much. You saved me $3,000 on the car. So these AI efficiencies are just going to allow us to spend more time on helping our clients outside of their finances.
Yeah.
Next week, hopefully you and Jen are going to attend. I won't hold my breath, but our educational event, we're bringing an ER doctor with 30 years of experience to come talk to our clients about all things emergency medicine.
Okay.
So again, this AI makes us much more efficient. It allows us to spend more time on helping our clients.
I love it. I love it. So, so amazing job building your business, but outside of business, you got to get away. You got to unwind. Like, what are some things that you're passionate about? I know you're passionate about fishing. Mm-hmm. What has that kind of done for you? Because obviously the stresses of building a business, doing educational events, being in front of clients, and all of a sudden now you're sitting out on a boat in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's quiet. Like, how much has that helped you kind of manage the day-to-day of starting a business and going through all that and kind of that whole experience, but then now having fishing?
Fishing, to me, it's, again, we all work hard, especially in both of our industries. There's a lot of stress in what we do. Fishing, for me, is an escape, right?
Yeah.
It's the best stress management tool that, for me.
Yeah.
And I'm competitive, so are you.
Yeah.
And like when you're out fishing with people, you want to be competitive.
Yeah.
And it's a good escape. Again, good stress management. But at the same token, too, I like being out fishing and thinking about business though too.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Yeah.
But sometimes you've got a clear head. Nice summer day. You're out on Lake Michigan. I fish for bass a lot, so we're looking for smallmouth, and you're sitting there smallmouth fishing, and just in a relaxed environment, you're doing something you like, but thinking about business.
And I don't know if you can relate to this, but that I spend a lot of time down in Florida. We go down 4 or 5 times a year, and what I always tell people about that is there's 100 reasons why I love it, but one of the things I always talk about is like I use the word clarity a lot. Like sometimes when you get away from your business and you are not in the grind where you're leaving for work and you're doing this and you got an appointment and you're just go all day. You're on calls and all of a sudden you're just away from it. It's quiet. And I'll get up in the morning and I'll sit there and the things I will think about my business and the things that I want to do are nothing like I would when I'm in it, when I'm here. Do you kind of experience that same thing and then clarity and you kind of things that you're thinking about out there then translate to the direction and things that you do in your business? Does that ring true to you at all?
100%.
Yeah.
Again, just like I mentioned about the fishing,
yeah.
Got a clear head, you're out there doing something you enjoy. It's easier sometimes to think about business. Again, we both work weekends.
Yeah.
There's nothing better sometimes than on a Saturday or a Sunday, just come into the office, no one's there, it's quiet, the phone's not ringing, your email's not blowing up. And sometimes, I'm so much more efficient sometimes on the weekend where I can get stuff done because we don't have those other distractions that are pulling us in different directions.
No, 100%. I mean, it's been, that's such a clarity thing for me. Last question, which I always ask everyone, if it wasn't for being a financial advisor, money wasn't an object. Okay, so it doesn't matter, is there anything you could see? And I think I know where this, but maybe you're going to surprise me. What do you think you would do in life?
Well, again, we just had the fishing conversation. I mean, again, money doesn't matter.
Yep.
You can just go out and do whatever you want to do. Be a tournament bass angler.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. Yeah, I knew the answer. I mean, Again, so are we on the path to winning any tournaments here? Are we doing that? Are you going to do it? Are you going to be able to, I haven't seen anything yet. So are we going to do it?
Well, again, the problem is I work too much, so I don't have enough time to really get out there and fish competitively.
Yeah.
But no, that's an industry where
there's a lot of money in that industry that people don't realize. No, I'm saying like there's a lot of money like where people spend to do. Yeah.
Oh, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm a financial planner, so I can tell you firsthand.
How many people have you talked out of buying a boat?
Yeah, I mean, well, and again, this kind of goes back to what we discussed earlier: is this social media, right?
Yeah.
All of these tournament anglers, you know, they have $100,000 plus bass boats. They've got 4 to 5, 6 different screens on the boat, all the electronics on it. And people watch those videos and think, oh, in order to be competitive, I need to get all that. Again, that helps, but it doesn't help you financially. You could have an old, John boat with, 2 oars and catch fish. You don't need a $100,000 bass boat. But just the problem of being a tournament angler, there's very few that are the elite that really make the money. And the tournament winnings aren't like what it used to be, 20, 25 years ago.
Isn't most of it like sponsorship too? Like they get big money.
Sponsorship and the guys that are good, they do win money, but they have awesome social media feeds, all the tackle companies and the boat manufacturers.
And they're pretty much on the road, right? Like a good majority of the time. Like they're just going, tournament to tournament, like, that's what because they got to fish there before the tournament, right? To get, the lay of the land and just kind of the same old thing over and over.
Depending upon where these guys live. I mean, a lot of the bass anglers used to live down in the South. But now that's changed. You got a lot of good anglers up in the Midwest here. But if you're in the Midwest, it's easier to get to both sides of the country. But some of these guys are in California, and in the later summer, they fish the St. Lawrence River, which upstate New York.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you're basically living over there.
So it's one of those careers I wouldn't encourage. But
I just want to say thank you for finally being able to do this. Chris and I have been friends for a really long time. I've known his family. We've ridden motorcycles. We've been to Key West. We've ridden motorcycles in Key West. We've pretty much, we've fished before. Plenty of late nights out in the city when we were younger, under much different circumstances. But we've had it good. And I just, I want to say, like, I've told you this plenty of times, but, what you've done with your business, how you've built, I won't say it's a surprise because, I think, I always knew you would build something special, but it is, you've done an amazing job. It's why I, refer people to you. It's why I have my money with you. So I just want to tell you congratulations on the amazing success. And I'm actually really excited to kind of see, your new office and kind of where this, because I feel like this is going to be a big 3-4 years for you. So I'm looking forward to watching the ride. So congratulations on everything.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.